I've been lucky enough to reinvent my career a few times, but I don't want to rehash the twists and turns. But I can trace the propelling force to a couple of influences early in my career that I suppose could at a stretch constitute a manifesto. My mum and dad were Italian, and they came to the UK as teenagers in the late 50s to work in service. My mum as a cook and my dad as a butler, and they did this until I was born, and then they switched to working in hotels. They never learned to read or write, and I was angry because I thought they were too servile. But they taught me hard work and, more importantly, the value of being of service to others. I did a degree in engineering, and after university I moved to Aberdeen with Shell, and one weekend I visited Edinburgh for the first time with a girlfriend. And knowing that I'd done engineering, she persuaded me to visit North Queensferry, which is where the Forth rail bridge comes ashore, and it's an awesome structure. And while I was marvelling at the engineering ingenuity of the Victorians, a different and for me more profound thought struck me, and it was that about 100 years earlier, someone had stood in roughly the same spot, stared across the choppy waters of the North Sea, and it's 1.5 miles across the Firth of Forth, and simply thought, I know, let's build a bridge here. And I came away changed, not by the structure itself, but by the realization of two things. First, that every big project starts with someone having that kind of a thought, and second, that person could be me. Well, it never has been. But I have discovered along the way, thanks to my mum and dad, that I do enjoy being of service, and I have been helpful helping others bring their projects to life. I was lucky that the first two projects I was involved in, the founding of the low-cost airline Go and bidding for the 2012 Olympic Games, were a success. The next one, which was the ill-fated bid for the 2018 FIFA World Cup, was a humiliating failure. And the truth is, if that had been my first experience, I think I would have been less inclined to take further risks. On the plus side, variety is definitely stimulating, and I've enjoyed a genuine sense of being able to make a meaningful contribution, and it is relatively easy to take lessons from one life and transfer them to another, and people seem to think you're some kind of genius. But on the downside, my salary hasn't really changed in about a decade, and I will probably never be a CEO. So while I'm not going to stand here and prescribe for anyone else, the creed of searching out big projects and approaching them with a sense of being of service has served me well.